There's a guy called Rob Walsh on one of my favorite podcasts who said to me recently that if you, my listener, find it annoying to hear me being interviewed on my own show for a change, then I have other problems. What do you think? If I do, then as always, feel free to tell me. But whatever the case, I am very happy to present you with this bonus episode that will feature on both my shows. It's a complete interview that I did for a show called Lights, Camera, Real Life in November of 2022 with a friend of mine called Philip Clark. I rediscovered this interview recently and found it refreshing that all the things still hold true, apart from the fact that my father, having passed away on the 7th of January 2023, is no longer with us. The show celebrates many people and things and events and formative years. However, I would like to dedicate this rather reflective piece to him and all the other great many fathers and good men that I have had the privilege of knowing. Now, as you might know by now, both my shows follow the value for value philosophy, which simply means that if you feel as if you got some value from any of my shows, you are free to give some value back. There are many ways to do that do not involve me asking for your credit card number or for your money. If you're interested in supporting not only me, but any of your favorite independent podcasters, feel free to head on over to value.iAntonio.media and find out the many ways in which you can do just that. So then, I really hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. And without further ado, on with the show.
The lights come up, the camera focuses. You are somewhere between, and the reality of your life is on show. We feel compelled to put on a show all the time, and on the stage of life, it is filled with some award-winning performances that most will never get to see on stage. Not all of our stories are glamorous. I am Philip Clark. Join me today as we unearth the many roles of real people who share their journey and the lessons learned on that journey. Welcome to Lights, Camera, Real Life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's your boy Philip Clark again, midday, and guess what? No? I have another very inspiring and special guest. Not only because he's Jamaican, but yes, also because he's Jamaican. He's an media producer and practitioner, the founder and creator of the English Coach podcast. This is a podcast which is aimed at fulfilling his promise to his community of learners to not only deliver English training, but also sustainable language acquisition. And he's going to tell us more about that. He helps adult learners and users of English as a second language for work to use the language with more sovereignty. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be speaking to a Jamaican who has transitioned to Germany. So yes, we are speaking to my Jamaican friend all the way in Germany. I should say, willkommen, as welcome.
Thank you very much, Philip. This is fantastic.
Mr. iAntonio Patterson is my guest this evening, or this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you are in the world.
Yes.
Ian, welcome.
Thank you, Philip. Well, I'm there, I know. And I'm not going to say I'm looking at you, the better one, because I'm looking at a blank screen right now. But, it's a pleasure being here. I could not have done that introduction any better.
Wow.
And, I'm
glad you like it,
man.
I'm glad you like it.
Yes, it kind of gives me some goosebumps to hear, the things that I want to hear about who I am and what I do. Thank you very much, sir. There's more, but thanks.
I know, right? So,
yes.
Ian, So Ian, we have to get into it right away.
Straight up.
So I want the people them to know that you're a Jamaican, yes, and you're currently living in Germany. But the journey to Germany and the journey to self, into self, is something that fascinates me about you and about life. You grew up in Jamaica. It was Manchester in Jamaica, right?
No, it was Manchester. It was in Manchester. It was actually St. Mary. I'm a
Oh,
St. Mary man.
oh, but you went to school somewhere there.
Yes, I did. So you're
Oh,
not entirely wrong. I
okay.
grew up in St. Mary. My let's say, real first formative years were in Highgate, St. Mary,
Mm,
where I lived with both of my parents still together. God bless them.
nice.
And they were both teachers at the time. I went to Highgate All Age School. After that, I went to St. Mary High School. And, as things work out sometimes, during the pubescent years, you kind of need a different impulse. So, we transferred over to Knox College,
Mm-hmm.
which is in Spaldings,
Right,
close to Mandeville. Yeah.
right. How was
So,
how
yeah,
was
just for
how
two
was
years.
how was how was that like? How was high school like?
The high school years were good. I have very fond memories. I still remember particular days. Funnily, funnily today, I remember when my principal gave me a caning. He came into the class and I was loud, and he said, "You little boy with the big mouth, please come." And I was given 5 lashes. And
Whoa.
funnily, I was thinking about that today.
Those days we had caning in schools. No, I don't think we have that
Yes.
anymore.
No, well, luckily I remember the guy,
So this was
and
this
I
was
remember the
was this
event.
boarding school?
That was actually at St. Mary High School.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. I think
But you went to
what was the name of
Knox,
the
you said.
principal? Yes, but what I mean, as I said, sometimes in the pubescent years you need an impulse,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe, an impulse to kind of, mm, you know, let's say step away from the many distractions that also were at that time in my life. We didn't have internet and smartphones and so on, but there were other distractions. And maybe that was the first impulse that, I really needed a change of space.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thankful that I moved. I think it was after, was it third form? I think it was after third form. I went to Knox College and did another 2 years there.
Mm-hmm. So what was
Yeah.
being away from home for the first time
Yeah.
like?
It was very rough. There were dark days. You kind of, it's I think I needed it at the time, and in retrospect I think even then I recognized that it was something that was good for me, because it was moving out of the old environment. Old environments tend to, the friends you have tend to keep you in a place that says to you, well, in order to be the authentic person that you are, not that I was so mindful at that age, but they keep you there, and you have to kind of play the same role, be the same, whether it be a class joker that gets you a caning
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. So, that was my first experience of moving out, changing environments, and kind of recreating yourself in a small way,
Do
you
you
know.
do you think that
Um,
do you think that having left home at such an early
mhm.
age, third form, you probably would have been about
Yes,
13, 14 maybe.
something like that. Don't you
Um,
remember?
do you think that that kind of prepared you to be this individual who constantly wanted more because you see that life is different
Hmm.
out here? Do you think that that has kind of impacted you in any way?
Yes, of course. Because as I said, moving out of the usual environment, or you could call it a comfort zone, whatever, whatever your life explanation model is. It's a good thing, because you are, as I said, forced to rethink. You're given the opportunity to recreate yourself. You're not limited by the expectations of some friends who, out of love, basically want you to stay who and what you are,
Mm-hmm.
out of love, as I said. But yeah, it was good. It definitely did influence me, because it's opened me up at least to different cultural influences, of the many we have in our
Yeah.
small island.
Right.
People from different parts of Jamaica, people from, with different familial backgrounds
Right.
and so on. Also there was a sense of different classes as well. There was all sorts of different, for want of a better word, class of people
Mm-hmm.
who were in the boarding school. So there was a mix of that, the coming together of that in some places, and also the not coming together of that in
Yeah.
others. So it was definitely something that's inspired and
Yeah.
influenced me at that age, for sure. Yes.
When I went to that's the evening. That's the evening. Is that the police in the background there?
Yes. We have sirens here. The police here are very efficient, and effective. You call and they're there in 3 minutes.
Wow.
Yes. That's one thing that is I really appreciate about this country.
Contrast to
Police are
Jamaica.
definitely
Anyway,
very,
we're not gonna say it.
it's different. No, but different, just different that way.
I went to boarding school and I remember having this distinct thought at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
That made me realize, oh my mom and dad will not always be around. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
for the first time in my life, I just had this permeating feeling just seared my brain. And I just realized, oh wow, I can't run
Mm-hmm.
home like I want to. I can't, call mom and dad. I'm here and I have to figure it all out. Was there any moment at boarding school that made you realize you got to do this on your own? You got to figure out this thing on your own. And, if you had support.
Mm-hmm. Well, or if I had support, well, there are a few friends. You have to definitely find a strategy.
Mhm.
You look around to see, who are the cool kids, who are the quiet, strong ones, who are the jokers, and how you can kind of leverage your own behavior to fit in. You try to find your place in terms of support. Yes, I did have some friends there. The challenge of not having my parents there, not having them to run to. I mean, it was, as I said, it was dark days. I'm not gonna say what I was really,
So,
crying for my
you were a
parents, but I did
spoiled, so you
miss
were a
them
spoiled
deeply.
child, Ian.
No, man, I was never spoiled. I was, as a guy said to me once, I was born bad, but I wasn't spoiled at all. It's just that, I miss family.
Yeah,
You miss the
absolutely.
house, you miss the pets, that you had around, the normal, the usual people,
Absolutely.
the usual movements. That support system just wasn't there.
Hmm.
You had to kind of like make your own.
Did you
Yeah.
think it was good or bad in some ways? In other words, did it have a negative impact? Did it have
But
a positive impact on you? What you think?
I think the boarding school experience is good, but you have to be a little bit into or a little bit out of puberty. I think I don't support the idea of sending off children in pubescent years because
Hmm.
they need the guidance of their parents. Otherwise, they're gonna get it from the cool
I follow
kids,
you.
and influences that are not necessarily positive. That is my feeling on
Hmm.
it. But generally, there was guidance at the school. There was a good structure, and discipline. Some of it sometimes a little bit too harsh. It was also a co-ed boarding
Right.
school, so it wasn't that made it, it had a different dimension of interestingness to it there. Yeah,
And I
of
understand it.
course, and there were like social
And I
events and so
understand
on.
it being co-educational. You were one of the hot boys.
Well, I think I was, and I have always been, and I will always be hot in my own way, my little way. But it doesn't really, it doesn't fit everywhere. And as I say in the last show, anybody who don't know what's good is their problem. But you know, you always have somebody who don't know what's good.
Right. So you're saying that you were a hot boy. You were a rebel. You eventually became one of the cool kids.
Well, I think the good thing about that time, I think that I managed to rub shoulders with the cool kids in a good enough way. I mean, I wasn't one of the sports guys or anything like that, but I was very good in school, you know, and I could trade favors. I could help people with their mathematics or their biology or geography, whatever it
Mm,
might be, business administration, and I think I won my little accolades and my little safety that
nice,
way in
nice,
many cases, so yeah, man. So I could do the cool thing. I had a few, well, quote unquote, cool friends as well. Very cool people, like I like to find the middle ground,
right,
and
right,
kind of stay there. And sometimes I go left, sometimes I go right. But my place was basically, yeah,
nice.
yeah, not. I didn't live for the coolness, put it that
Hmm,
way. I
hmm.
couldn't afford it as well. There
Yeah,
were lots of money children there. And
yeah.
I couldn't maintain the ranks with them at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, my friend them out there, we're talking to Ian. Ian Patterson. He is actually a fellow podcaster. Yes, and he's going to talk to us about his podcast called the English Coach Podcast. And we him just a talk to me about him high school years and how much of a cool kid he was. Um,
Why you stick to
but
that?
I also realized that, he was also and still is a very academically brilliant individual. So, Ian, you transitioned to university. I believe it was the University of Technology. You eventually
Yes, it
became
was UTech.
there. What did you study, and why did you study that?
In 1993, I decided to do quantity surveying, and
Mm.
I had always been someone who was fascinated by building. I wanted to build things. I wanted to see what my work produced. I spent a lot of time building little houses for my rabbits and chickens and pigeons
Oh,
and all these things. I like to cut wood and hammer. Hurt my finger a
yeah.
lot. And that was, I was very tactile, still I am, work with my hands a lot. And then I think it was my father who introduced me to the idea of, doing something in the direction of building engineering, but focusing on the cost and the contractual aspects of it. And that is what quantity surveying is about. And did it happily so. I had wonderful years at UTech. Started at 93. And, some of my friends also from Knox College were there at the same time. So that added a whole new dimension of magic to the whole experience,
Mhm.
because we grew and evolved together. And that was a new, coming, well, not really a coming out, but it was a new experience.
Yeah,
And we were doing it together this time, and it was great.
I like the word evolution, which is basically, what we're trying to achieve here today, the evolution, looking at the evolution of Ian Patterson. And the fact that you are now a podcaster and you had your beginnings in quantity surveying and all of that engineering kind of information, there clearly is something going
Mhm.
on in the mind of this man that we don't know about. So you left UTech, and what was next?
Yes, well, actually, before UTech, my father insisted that I get some work experience before. So I actually worked, I think, 1 year, 1.5 years in the hotel industry.
Hmm.
Then I went to UTech, with some understanding of what it means to work for your money.
Hmm.
So went there, did the UTech thing. Um, let's see. I did really well because I think I got really good grades from Knox. So I hit the ground running with my university studies in Jamaica. Um, and after the studies at UTech, I don't know if I'm answering the question properly, but I went to work at a place called, maybe you know it, tourism. No, actually, it was with a lady. My first boss was a lady called Elizabeth Duncan,
Hmm.
and she was quite informative and well, Yeah, she influenced my development in many good ways.
What
She
sort of
was
business was that?
it was a quantity surveying company
Oh,
firm.
okay.
Yeah, small one, very strong lady. I mean, I can avoid saying strong woman because to me it's not an event. It just happened that she was a strong personality,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of gave me some insight, some life lessons there that I'm still thankful for to this day.
Well, me I love to
You
hear about
know,
one of them, one or two of them.
well, one thing she said to me was, and this is a little playful. She said to me, "Say, Ian, don't try to understand the ladies, yes,
Oops.
because the day you understand the ladies, you're not into ladies anymore." That's what she said to me.
Once you
And I
understand the
find
ladies.
once you understand the ladies, you're not into ladies anymore. That's what she said. So just don't try to understand anything, you know.
Oh
And
dear.
that's one of the more playful lessons I got from her. She also
Mhm.
said, "What is yours, and what is not yours can never be
That's
yours."
right. That's
That's
right.
what she said to me as well.
That's right.
And to do her proper justice, um, as I said, she was very patient with me, even though she held herself to very high standards
Mm-hmm.
work wise. And I'm still very thankful for that. Only if only the fact that she was my first boss out of university, and she's a woman, so it kind of confirmed what I had already thought. All my life I've been surrounded by strong women,
Uh-huh.
innovative, intelligent women, and for me it's not really an event. The way we're talking about strong here and strong there and how great that is. I mean, for me, it's nothing strange. In Jamaica, I think the UNO said that we had the most women in leadership position in the world in
Yes.
2016.
Yes.
So it's not nothing strange for me, and she played a part in that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting, you talk about that. You talk about when you're careful of using the word strong because it's not an event. She was a strong
Mm-hmm.
personality, and it's interesting to me because in terms of gender dynamics, we're always so cautious. We're always wondering, how do we bridge the gaps and so forth and so forth and so on. But I hear you talking quite confidently and without any kind of reservation about how
Mm-hmm.
you view women, and I think that's really commendable, and especially a woman boss, sort of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and and
Yeah.
and you come across as a quite secure and confident man. So, toxic masculinity is what I'm
Mm.
alluding to, and
Yeah.
I don't know, would you say that your co-educational experience prepared you for that, or would you say your relationship with your parents?
My first, you mean from high school, the
Yeah,
the, the
yes,
co-ed boarding
yes,
school,
yes.
perhaps? Yes, of course it did help me. Another friend of mine once said, he said to me that, Ian, the Jamaican woman is long emancipated. Many of the men just don't get it yet. That's what he said to me.
Whoa,
And that
yes.
was also a very powerful talk. Yes. Um,
Mhm.
but in terms of shaping, it started from my mother. My mother is a strong woman, also strong personality. And I learned a lot from her because, as I said, she was a teacher. So, it was just knowledge flowing from her all the time. And she managed to raise a family. My father is still there. He was also a teacher. And he was never the type to say, well, man do this and woman do that. It was just a free thing where, everybody, there's a sort of kind of an equality, which is one that I still strive for
Ah,
in life. Yeah, a
beautiful.
reality that I seek to live is about equality. It's not about whatever saying, well, it's this is or that is. Yeah, this
Yeah.
equality is what I strive for. And it started with my mother. Some other good neighbor as well. She was at some point the principal of St. Mary High School as well. Mrs. Clark.
Mm-hmm.
She also influenced me a lot with a whole lot of scientific knowledge on plants and animals. For some reason, that's what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two strong women already in my life, and then the co-ed experience, of course. As I said, they were strong personalities also in the boarding school. In Jamaica we have the status problem. There's no the classism. We have that.
Right.
So you had some people who were like that as well, who are like the head of the what do you call it, the pick order
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And I've always had strong women around me.
Yeah.
So when I see people talking about, oh, she's a strong woman, it feels to me like patronage. You know,
Ah.
because that's why I said, to me, it's not an event.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Right. Wow. Ian, to be honest with you, me gonna be honest with you. Me not hear much man talk like how you talk. No, me I tell you the truth, straight up. Because you said it was a normal thing for you. So you don't have you're not surprised when a
No,
personality who happens to be a strong personality, who happens to be a woman, is in your space. It's just
no,
not a thing for you. You don't feel intimidated. You don't feel insecure. You acknowledge that presence, and you as a man, you just do your thing.
just do my thing.
And I
Yeah.
think this kind of background prepared you for sort of an international perspective. We want to talk a little bit now about how did you transition from Jamaica to
Hmm.
Germany? I want to hear the juice now.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we can make a big jump in. I mean, after I worked with this lady, Elizabeth Duncan, I went to a place called Tourism Product Development Company
Mm,
Limited. It was on Trafalgar
mhm,
Street. I think it was Trafalgar or Knutsford Boulevard. I mean, I remember. And that was a continuation of my career in tourism that actually started
before you take,
before
yeah.
university. So yeah, that was quite also international somehow, because you step out into the I think it was more of a regulatory body
Hmm.
agency that also went into hotels and helped to educate people in the direction of customer service, health and safety in resorts, beautification, and all of that. So that in itself was also an exposure to this openness towards leadership figures, whether it be male or female, because a lot of hospitality areas, they say the customer facing side is in many cases female. So I think that had a part to do with it, as my boss there was also a woman. My direct and a lot of the managers there I had were also female. So that also
Hmm.
helped, you know, I think, because it was again a very mixed environment that wasn't dominated by any sex. Yeah. So it did help, and also that's the contact to the international. Of course, you're in contact with guests
Hmm.
and so on. But I think it was a lady I met from the German embassy. She was a big fan of the Jamaican football team at the time, and I met her, and she told me about Germany. She was, she spoke to me in English, and my sister had also come here and spent some time in Köln or in Cologne, and she said also it could be something. So that's when, I think after 4 years or so working at Tourism Product Development, I started looking out into the world for an international education experience.
But why Germany?
Well, the thing is this, I tried Australia and actually got through for the University of South Bank, but is it South Bank, or I don't remember what it's called. No, not South Bank. So one of them, I don't remember. And then South Bank is probably UK, but something or Queensland or something. I don't remember. But the thing
Queensland
is
sound more
this,
like it.
more like Australia,
Yeah.
but still, the thing is with Germany. Germany was off the beaten track. So first of all, I was interested in learning a new language.
Ah,
That's the first thing.
ah.
Yes, I could do that in a country that spoke a language that was kind of close to English, because English is Germanic, English comes a lot from German. A lot of English came from German,
Yes.
the language German. So
Yes.
I thought it would be a little bit easier to go to a country where, at least there are some roots there that I can recognize. Another reason is because it's middle in Europe, so it's what you have here is a different mentality, because you're living in a country that's bordered by other countries. There's Spain, there's France, there's Switzerland, there's Luxembourg, there's Prague, there is Spain, and all these countries, Poland, just neighbors. So it's like, what do you call it now? Paradoxically, in Europe, you actually get more diversity than you do or you would in Great Britain, yes, which is an island.
Yes.
And North America, in many ways, is also an island, because I find that many native English speakers are not so much interested in other cultures.
Yes.
So,
Yes. True. You're very true. And it's like you're in a melting pot, a potpourri.
It is a melting pot, especially here in Berlin. I tell you, Berlin is a word unto its own, So why I came here was basically for those two reasons. Also, Germany enjoys a good reputation in terms of reliability and quality products. So I wanted to get some of that by osmosis,
Okay.
And it's also cheaper to study here. All you have to do is learn the language. So
wow,
that was
that's
also
very
a big
useful
plus.
information, though. You see, already you're being an ambassador. Wow.
Yes. Well, you have to learn the language, and there are challenges there. I'm not going to say that it's an easy road, because
Well, that's what I want to talk about
sacrifices.
now. Getting into Germany as a Jamaican, as a black man in Germany, I'm sure is not without any challenges. So just paint for us, what was the initial contact like, and how have you been navigating your space since?
Well, as of the only initial contact, since you mentioned the black thing, as of when I came here, there's a song by Sade, Sade, yeah. She sings, I don't remember, quite a few songs. I like her. There was a song she sang where she spoke about a girl who never knew racism until somebody gave her change and didn't want to touch her hand.
The woman in
She
Somalia.
bought something. I don't remember. Something in one of her songs. She said, boy, she get her change and the person never want to touch her hand. Yeah. So that was my first real experience. I bought, I think it was apples one day, and went to the store, and then the way the lady gave the change back, you could see the scorn. She didn't want to touch my hand. But that's just a very small thing, and you get that every now and then, but it's not a major thing. It doesn't feature prominently.
You still get that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course. Look, we can talk about the racism, but we might need another episode for that. I rationalize all of that racism thing that we like to talk about and give stage to is group behavior. It's just human group behavior. Group behavior can be among blonde women, dark-haired women, gay men, gay women. It can be among people from a different area, people who look a certain way, people of a certain height. It's group behavior. The question is always, where does the power live? And how does it express itself in terms of resources, entitlement to resources and status? So if you look at it, a lot of the things that express as, or let's say come out as racism, is just normal group behavior. That's
it doesn't have any basis much.
It's just as serious, it's just as bad, but I see it as group behavior, generally speaking, which is I'm not saying that it's good, but or all the time, but it's a part of who we are as people, because we live for status, and we find if we remove status, like in the communist world, which has been an experiment many times, if you remove it, people just find another way to feel superior to them neighbors.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have preferences always.
It's, yeah, of course, as I say, it's bad, but we are programmed to live for within a status driven paradigm. And if it's not color, it's gonna be money. If it's not money, it's gonna be height or whatever. Whatever.
Yeah. So has there been any experience that you've had where initially the initial contact was one of discrimination, but you learned or that person learned differently in going forward in relating to them, or the relationship changed? Was there any such thing like that that you have had?
Yes, 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 of course. I mean, there are too many to really number, I mean, it's how can I say this? Speaking about these racial issues, and I really wouldn't want to go too deeply on that because it can dominate. The worst thing about these issues is that I know I spent so many years here that I know probably more very good people here than I still know in Jamaica. And when I talk about these things, I feel bad about these good people that I know. Because they suffer sometimes more than I do under under this we call it in German, we say Fremdschämen, yeah, which is like shame for someone else. So when I talk about the bad experiences, the good people feel worse than I do,
I
and I
see.
feel bad for them,
I
you
see.
know.
I see.
So
I see.
it's not really a big thing. I mean, there are ways to get around it, because
Yeah.
people it's not like in the States where you might be shut down. Yeah, and that's one
Yeah.
thing that I'm really thankful
So
for being in
culturally,
Germany,
so
not in the States.
culturally, would you say that do you miss Jamaican culture, or do you find that you have found within Germany your particular niche? How would you say culturally? How are you surviving culturally?
Culture, I'm surviving perfectly fine. I mean, I've never been one to say, well, this is me and this is not me. I think, we're, as you know,
Right.
evolving, creating ourselves, recreating ourselves even almost every day. But I try to surround myself with good people from whom I get good energy. And
Yeah.
if I
That's
feel
a
bad
great
energy,
point.
then I
That's a
move.
great point, Ian.
I move.
And not to cut you, but that's a great point. I just want that to belabor it. You never say this is me or this is not me. That's such a powerful point because of how much we are always evolving. We tend not to think about it, we tend not to acknowledge it, but we're always evolving. So thank you for that point. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, yes, of course, of course. And my pleasure. And we spoke about roles as well on one of our previous episodes. You
Yeah.
just have to, the action logic. What is the logic that informs your decision making at any one point in time? It doesn't mean that you are being a hypocrite or whatever. For example,
Or you're losing yourself.
yeah, you're not losing yourself. You just put on a different hat, and yeah, you decide who you're gonna be. You keep growing, and who am I to say that anybody cannot change your mind? I'm not a politician. I'm not looking to be voted in anywhere, so I'm allowed to change my mind and evolve and be a human being. So, and that's what I would recommend to anyone who's looking to find peace with who they are.
Right.
you know
So speaking of of evolving, you started off in Jamaica
hmm
in training as a quantity surveyor, and
Quantity
now
surveyor, yes.
right, and
hmm
now you are a podcaster. So
hmm
tell us a little bit more about that now, and the fact that you are also a trainer in English.
Yes, yes. Well, all right. Quickly said, I have studied a few things, in terms, I did the quantity surveying first, and then what I actually studied here was international business administration. And
Ah,
a lot of my colleagues with whom I studied, they are now bankers and so on, but I had to study something and I finished it, yes. But I'm not really a finance type. I'm not a banker type, so I never pursued that. My major was human resource development,
mm-hmm,
and I
mm-hmm.
before I understood what sustainability meant, that it's actually ecological. My major was approaching sustainability through personalentwicklung, which is personal development, making the workspace, so to speak, more conducive to career growth of the person, not just the role. And that's what was my major. Then after that, I did not finish, but I got a postgraduate certificate in leadership for sustainability. Yeah, so I only have master credits, I can probably finish them at some point, but I did that after the business studies, and of course also learned to be a teacher. But all of these things inform my training practice, because with the adults I work with, I can't just give them grammar rules. Yeah, I have to give them context, and that is how I teach. I teach with context.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, they're learning English to work with it. So they want to have a teacher who understands, whether it be engineering or sustainability or tourism or art, somebody who has an idea of what they're actually using the language for. And that is how no knowledge is wasted, and that is how I bring that into my teaching practice right now.
Very good.
Yeah.
Love that
Yeah.
so much. And so now,
Yes.
and that's why, and so the podcast is an extension of that.
Yes, of course. The podcast is an extension of that. Yes, because the promise to offer them a chance to hold on to the language. If they listen to the show, they'll definitely be exposed to different accents. Anybody who learns a new language is interested in different cultures as well. The show in itself is very diverse. There are people from France, from Russia, from Ukraine, from Poland, from America, Canada, Nicaragua, all over the world, from Philippines,
And-
everywhere. So in itself, it is
And
diverse.
Jamaica.
And Jamaica, of course, UK, of course, yes. All these different, and German, all these different influences. So it helps to keep my students in connection with the language, and also to other cultures, because we're going for cognitive diversity as well, not just the look of the photos on the website.
Right. And you sound, and would you say that you're a lot more fulfilled now?
Yes, of course, because the thing is as well with podcasting, it's a global voice. It's one of the last, let's say, bastions of free speech, where you can put your voice out into the world and take ownership of your voice. Because as a Black man, I also want to put my voice out there, not in the form of some kind of rap song or hip hop or whatever. I mean, so many people here really think that everybody in Jamaica have dreadlocks. You know that? A lot of people, they're like, but you dreadlocks? I'm like, listen, man, we also, they also don't notice that Bob Marley sang mostly love songs, but that's another topic. The podcasting is an ownership, taking ownership of my own voice, which I think you, for example, you're doing that. And many important people should do that with their own stories, because, a story is being written of all of us anyway. The digital identity that I am expressing through podcasting is writing my own story. I want to be the curator of my own story as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I also have a second podcast, by the way. It's not just, it's a little less conservative than the English Coach podcast, but that's also one reason why I do it.
Okay. Yeah. What's that about? What's that like? What's
that one is called, it's called Life is Feeling, feeling not only as a noun and, the feeling you feel, but also feeling in terms of going out and testing other things, other ways of seeing the world, other views and so on. So I talk to different people, and things that have no connection to really my training practice. So we talk about things like, one topic that we discussed recently was the idea of consent, notions of consent. We speak about objectification of the female performing artist. She separates her stage self from her professional life off the stage. We speak about male reproductive rights, not in terms of demanding that no abortion takes place, but the fact that men also have a say. That's the focus. We speak about, did I say erotic capital? Yes, to be or not to be. Does it exist? And to what extent are we
Wow.
allowed to recognize it as a thing? We speak about the aging artist, how you manage that. Um, when whether it be Hollywood or whatever is just interested in the young faces and the made up faces, selling a fantasy or not, how you manage that, and some other things, you know.
Wow, that sounds like
Yeah.
a quite a variety of very interesting stuff.
Yes,
Oh
yes, it's
man, I mean,
taking voice. You gotta put it out there.
well,
We, as I say, a black man, you doing it. You have to put your voice out there, make people know. Say, what I mean, we can talk. It doesn't have to be, a rap song or something. But you
yeah,
have structured
absolutely.
ideas to put out into the world as well.
Right. No stereotypes. Yeah,
No.
diversity is a very popular topic of discussion,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly almost a political ideology now in terms of the way how diversity is something that has to be implemented, whether it's in leadership, in corporate, in films, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in education. Diversity is a big issue. What does that mean for you, and how you navigate yourself in Germany?
Mm-hmm.
Even through the podcast, what does that mean for you?
Well, as the diversity idea, I try to live it and not really talk about it too much because sometimes we talk so much about things that it becomes more about the speech than the living of these realities, and sometimes the people who are talking are disconnected from the people they're talking about.
Hmm.
So I don't really talk about it too much. I just say it short and say, look here, this is what it looks like. um, but
So how do you
the
live it?
question of what it means, I talk to all people. I talk to all people. I give people the benefit of the doubt. I try to value people and what they bring and not what they look like.
Yeah.
I allow everybody a chance to voice their opinion, um, and listen to them. I've sat and had beer with people who look at me and say, listen, they believe that black people do not have souls.
Ooh.
Yes. And I talk to them. I talk to them. Yeah, I sit and I talk to them. So tell me why you feel that way, you know? And yeah, of course. I said, so I mean, like Jesus Christ, he's not European, you're saying he doesn't have a soul either. And eventually you get to that. And they find their own idiocy themselves, when we can also listen to what different people have to say, then you can help them also to find their own faults, without having to tell them anything.
Interesting.
So that's
Yeah.
that's my approach to
Right.
diversity. I give everybody, yeah, man. And I just invite all different kinds of people onto the show. That's how I live it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Very, very excellent. Um, I admire that speech, and as a Jamaican, as a black man, it's commendable because we subscribe to so many stereotypes of what it means to
Mm-hmm.
be black, what it means to be Jamaican, what it means to be Caribbean,
Mm-hmm.
and we find as soon as we move out of the space
Mm-hmm.
into an international space, we find that some of those things, some of those philosophies that we have, some of those thoughts that we have to be questioned, and we have to realize, we can, and that's how we live life, and as a result of that, we have to make a decision in your life, in your journey from Jamaica to Germany, transitioning careers, investing in yourself, developing yourself. Would you say there are any regrets that you have?
Well, yes, I do have some regrets, but I don't dwell on them, and I wouldn't even. I don't think I would put them to the scrutiny and device of mass public media, to be honest. But I don't dwell on them. I don't dwell on the regrets. if people ask me a particular thing they want to make up, I'd probably try to nudge them towards thinking about certain aspects. Yeah. But it's very difficult to speak of my regrets because I don't really want to. Yeah. I do have a few, like for example, having to do with like the language and I should have worked much faster at learning the language because that's where, for example, integration starts. It starts with language. There are, as someone who was, what do you say, selbstständig, or you say that in German again. Somebody was self-employed here, you have to kind of find a job or make a job, and I was self-employed for many years. And there are difficulties there. So, there's some business decisions that I might have done differently. Made differently. There are also some approaches to how I present myself. I would have probably done that differently. As a minority, sometimes you try so hard to fit in. For years, I didn't wear sneakers, and I only wear shirt with buttons, for years because I tried to look orderly. And then suddenly I just stopped cutting my hair, and not that I'm going dreadlocks, but I just let my hair grow. It's a freedom, and it's because you find that people will see what they want to see anyway.
So it
Yeah,
makes
they
sense
will.
to just be your authentic self.
Just be myself, so I don't cut my hair especially, I just make it grow, and anybody who don't know what good is their problem. Because they're gonna see what they want to see anyway,
Absolutely.
So for me right now, that's it's a free, as I say, it's not dreadlocks, but I just let my hair grow, Yeah.
Love that. Just love that. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend we are talking to Mr. Ian Patterson, a Jamaican podcaster living in Germany. I suppose he's a German. I should say a German Jamaican. Oh, I say that.
Oh yes,
I
yes, yes,
I
yes,
should take the
yes.
other way around.
Naturalize
And
right over,
we are looking at his life story, his evolution, his twists and turns, and just getting into his mind. And he's sharing, and I'm so happy, Ian, that you're sharing so well, so candidly with us this morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are, because I am truly inspired. I am inspired. But I want you to leave us with some nuggets, and this is what I'm gonna ask you. I do a lot of mentoring, and I am always trying to impart some life lessons, some wisdom, if I can, to young people. And you just spoke ably a while ago about there are certain things that you would have learned and you would have done differently. If one young person was listening to this podcast right now, listening to you right now, what would you say to them, or him or her?
a young person. Well, as a coach, the importance of just asking questions sometimes, listening to people.
Yeah.
And I would really ask them what they want for themselves, and then try to say, well, be true to yourself is probably the meanest advice that you can give. Because, who is that person? I've been trying to find out who that person is for many years now, but
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, be true to oneself. But it depends. It depends. Philip, I would love to be able to just come up with a nugget, a big fat nugget of wisdom, to just blow the minds of all the listeners. But to be honest, I don't know nothing. I don't know anything. People just have to know what they want for themselves and be true to themselves. Yeah, I mean, there are some dangers out there now. I think I talk a lot about this digital self, the identity that is us online. And right now, as things are, it is owned by the large tech companies.
Yeah.
Many people don't really see it as a thing, but a story is being written of who you are anyway. So, all of us should take ownership of that and express it in a meaningful way, and don't just use social nets for rubbish,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, use it to uplift each other.
Mm-hmm.
That is, just think, as well, just think, what is the value of this post? Yes, who is it gonna help?
Mm-hmm.
What could a younger brother or younger sister learn from this, right? And try to use social nets to have some kind of upliftment, because it's very powerful. When I was a child, Dick Tracy, yes, Dick Tracy had a watch, yes, and the watch had TV on it, and for me, that was high science fiction. But now look at it, that's nothing. If someone comes to me with a television with a moving screen on it, it's nothing. And we have all this power now in our pockets with our smartphones, and the most that most people do with them is rubbish. Just really disgusting rubbish, And the advice I would probably give, if asked of me, I would say, well, just ask yourself the question: what is the value and what is the intent of this bit of this nugget that I am about to share?
Mm.
And just be a little bit mindful of that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I would do.
Absolutely.
That's one thing. But if you had some specific, I could, because I have opinions on many things, that I could share, but I don't know where to go. This young person could be someone of German descent, someone right now, for example, I'm doing integration courses, and I have students from Afghanistan, who are trying to learn, integrate through also learning English and getting their high school diploma. That's what I'm doing now. And people from Afghanistan, people from Syria, people from Russia, people from many Asian countries. I even had a guy from North Korea recently. There are Germans in the class as well.
Mm-hmm.
People from Puerto Rico, all over the world, Romania, and so on. And all of these people have different worldviews that you have to first find out, kind of get an idea what their worldview is, and then kind of like shape your advice accordingly. I mean, if I tell a guy, say, well, you can't do X, maybe, it doesn't make any sense, because, it just doesn't fit.
Well,
based on
there are
many
life
things.
lessons. There are life lessons that you would have learned. And I'm not necessarily saying that the life lesson that you learned is something that can be carbon copy for somebody else, but what life lesson would you share with young people generally? But I want to say this. All of what you said a while ago is very powerful. I think asking yourself, what is it that I want? The answer from that, I think, is what will propel you into the future that you want. And I absolutely embrace that. So
Yeah.
Ian,
Yeah.
thank you so much again for being my esteemed guest on Lights, Camera, Real Life. This is actually episode 9, ladies and gentlemen, season 2. And my guest this evening, this afternoon, this morning is Ian Patterson.
I
Jamaican,
appreciate it.
German, Jamaican, living in Germany. And it has been truly a blessing. So, Ian, thank you again.
Thank you. I really hope I did your listeners proper justice.
No worry yourself.
And while we're there, I don't know if the people are interested, but remember I was telling you about that new show.
Promote it, man.
Yes.
Promote
Well, if you yes. Well, the thing is this, I have a new URL now. It's called, if you follow lifeisfeeling.com, it will take you to both of my shows. And if you're interested in the adult learning experience and so on, you can listen to the English Coach podcast. If you're interested in a little less conservative content, then you can check out Life is Feeling. Yeah, but lifeisfeeling.com will take you to both of the episodes.
Okay.
And there's much more coming up.
Excellent. Well, I'm
Yes.
definitely going to tune into the Life is Feeling podcast because I really love those topics. I really, you
Yes.
mentioned some stuff there that really turned me on. So yeah, I'm going to check it out.
Yes.
And
I'm going to invite you
yeah, man. And
for
ladies and
sure.
gentlemen, there you have it. Another episode of Lights, Camera, Real Life. If you want to hear this episode again, all you have to do is to just tune into YouTube and Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts and just type Lights, Camera, Real Life. Philip Clark's Lights, Camera, Real Life. So just like, share, subscribe, and just spread the word. Ladies and gentlemen, Tankono, Magan, later.